Cool. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Steve.
Okay, thank you. Just share. Okay, can we see that okay?
We can indeed. Cheers.
Excellent. All right, good evening, everyone. So here to go through a quick overview of membership and finance in GMS. Okay, so overview of memberships. So we offer some different types of membership schemes, anniversary schemes, which are seasonal. So they start on the same date every year, run for a year. We do join date, which the membership starts on the day the person signs up and ends on that same day the following year, but this can be different. So whatever day the individual signs up for the membership, that's the day it finishes. And we do subscription, which is effectively like a gym membership. It runs every month, creates a direct debit payment. You can change those payments, the value of them, and they'll be taken every month. These memberships, they continue until the individual cancels or an admin at the club decides to archive that membership, and that will stop the payments from being taken. You have pre-configured rules you can add to memberships, so you can provide discounts. Now, they can be based on date ranges, they can be based on the selection of products that are being added to the orders. So, for example, you could have a child and a parent membership. You could then give a discount on that parent membership if a child membership is bought in conjunction with it. You can give discounts against types of roles. So you can have a player membership, excuse me, which could have a discount applied depending if someone's a registered player or a coach or any other roles that are available in GMS. You can also restrict the memberships by age. So when an individual is logged into GMS, if it's restricted to, for example, over 18s, that's the only membership they'll see for purchase when they go through the membership purchase flow. So prices, you've got different methods of pricing. You can pay in full, so pay the whole year's membership in one go. That can be by online card or direct debit. You can set memberships to be paid in instalments. And with the instalments, you also have the option to be able to pay in full as well if you wish to set the membership up that way. And the last one there is free offline memberships. So you don't need to sign up to payments or the websites to be able to use memberships. You can have free zero cost memberships, which you can assign to people, which will give you the ability to be able to filter out who's got which membership and look at that specific set of data. So the first bit is saying that, like I say, you don't have to sign up to the payments part, and you can do it free if you like. When we do the settlements, we do it bi-weekly for credit cards. That should bi-monthly. That should be bi-monthly for credit cards. Bi-monthly for also for direct debit. They get separated out into different settlements, which you can also look at in GMS, which we'll go to later. And there's our fee, so it's a 1.95% fee. The only exception to that is the £10 is an addition. If transactions are under £10, there's an additional 10p charge. Okay, so this is the finance home screen, the dashboard. You can see you've got various stats on here, which can be clicked through on to give you subsets of data. This one here is the orders outstanding. So this will be all your orders at the club that haven't been paid off and the outstanding amount for those orders. You've got collection failures on this side. So any payments that are either due to an individual cancelling their mandates and the payment isn't collected, or they don't have enough funds in the account, or the direct debit was set up incorrectly. That's in a stat there. Again, click through and it will just show you that subset of data. The same for credit cards. Any failed payments or cancelled payments will come up through there. Underneath, you get the two different settlement figures. So you'll get the your estimated figure for your next upcoming settlement. That is obviously subject to change if people cancel payments, but generally that is what your next settlement will be. And then it will give you your last two. The same again for credit cards over on this side. And then underneath, a breakdown of your monthly transactions. So it's broken down by the different payment types. And it does include the other underneath. So like I said, if you haven't signed up for the payments and you just are putting transactions through as other, you can also filter on that. Example of, we've got Rural and Bassett here. So an example of the schemes that they've set up. You can see from the grid the name of the scheme, how much it costs, and when the prices are valid from. Also gives you the number of payments it's configured to be taken in, the type and the duration and category. It also gives you the state of active. This grid by default does only show active, but using the filters, you can look at schemes you may have made inactive if you want to reactivate them and use them again. From here also, you can create your new schemes. So then you've got a membership scheme. So this will be the screen you see when you create a new scheme. Put the name and a description, and the type, so the anniversary, join date or monthly subscription. And then you've got a couple of categories you can put it into. These come into play when you're adding rules. So you can apply discounts on the types or categories of membership schemes that you have. You have the scheme start date, so that is the date for anniversary. This scheme, for example, would start on the 1st of September every year, and that will keep rolling every year. The status is active, and the type of tax. And you can also enter a code, which also you can use to filter if you want to look at that data. Available for online purchase. Now, this is for when individuals are logged into GMS. This determines if they will see that scheme to be able to purchase. If you're an admin and you're in GMS and you're creating orders on behalf of individuals, this field is overridden. So you will see schemes that are set for online purchase to know, but that's purely because you're an admin user. Status on purchase. So in here you have the option of setting to active, pending, or I forget what it's called. There's one called authorization required. So that just controls how, when someone buys that scheme, what the status it will show in GMS for them. Duration, generally they're set up as a year. If you set this to monthly subscriptions, then that will change to 1 month. So underneath you have membership fees. You can add an admin fee in there, which will be added to the order on top of the cost of the scheme. And under that is price. So you can add multiple prices here with different from and to dates. So I have seen clubs that offer, you know, 50% discount if the scheme is purchased halfway through the season. So in there you'd add another price that would start halfway into the season and run to the end of the season, and that would determine what the price paid at the time of purchase. Over this side you have the purchase window. So this determines when a scheme can be bought. So if a scheme starts on the 1st of September and it's set to 2 months pre-purchase window, then actually you'd be able to start buying that in August. The end purchase is the same thing, but works for the end of the season. So for example, this scheme, like I said, it starts on the 1st of September, has an end purchase window of 1 month. So this scheme would not be able to be bought 1 month before the end of that. If you do want to create a website, this is also in the finance module under the website setup. The schemes that you create or the publicly available schemes that you create will be available on that website. And there's just an example of how that looks. Again, we're using Royal Wootton Bassett as an example here. So these are all the schemes they have publicly available for people to buy. When you select, if the website is public facing, so anyone will be able to see this. But when you click purchase, you're then asked to either create an account in GMS or log in if you already got one, and it will take you through the membership buying process. So there's some screens here of the mobile view. It's fairly similar. So you've got the buy membership button here against your club, which then takes you through to the membership selection screen. Then you've got your order, your baskets, and then your payment options, which will vary depending on how you set up your scheme, which will then take you through to the payment details where you can add your payments. So settlements, under the settlement, this again in finance, under the settlements menu item, they're all broken down in monthly. So they're broken down by direct debit payments or card payments. You can filter these grids and export these grids. You can drill through on the batch. So drilling through on the batch will then give you the transactions included in that batch. Again, that information can be exported. And here's an example of an export from, again, from Royal Wootton Bassett, which tells you the products that have been bought, quantity, the price, unit price, then the amount that's being, the payment that was going through, the payment reference, if that payment has been settled, what date, the batch, and the other payment information. So once you've got your memberships up and running, you can look at the data in GMS, which is broken down by membership type. So on this side, on the membership dashboard, under the members tile, lists all your memberships that you've got in GMS where someone has got a membership. So for example, this associate parent at the top here, if you've got an active or pending or a lapsed one, it will appear in this grid. These numbers you can click through on. That will take you through to a list of all the individuals that have that membership for that status. You've also got the balance of all those memberships and how much money you've received from those. On this side, you can filter by different statuses of memberships and also the balance for those. Underneath that, there is the last 30 days. Again, filter it by status, and that will again give you a list of those individuals that fall into those categories. So your membership list, again, in the members tile, the membership list menu item will list all your memberships that are active, suspended, or pending. These statuses can be filtered over on this side. So you can select a subset of data which can be exported. You can drill through on the individuals in the name column. You can drill through, which will take you to their individual details. You can drill through on the membership name for each individual, which will then take you to the information specific to that membership for that person. Also, if there's an outstanding balance here, you can click through on that. It will take you through to an individual's order or summary screen, where you can choose to request the payment if that is outstanding. Oh. Okay, so that is the brief overview there of how the memberships and the finance section works. I'm guessing there's going to be some questions coming up.
Excellent, thanks, Steve. Do you want to mind just stop sharing your screen so that
of course.
then we've got everyone as though we're all in the room together.
Yeah, if I can work that out.
No worries. It's down the bottom of your screen. Should be down there.
Oh yeah.
Excellent. So, whilst we wait for Steve to do that, there we go. Lovely. Now I can see you can come on camera if you want to. You can stay off. I don't mind. So, lots of information there to take on board. Appreciate that you might want to absorb some of that and maybe stop and start on a recording and stuff. But as you've got a number of colleagues from FSI together in the room, a good opportunity to ask any questions. And I've seen some questions coming through, so it'd be good just to kick off with one, Steve, just around, you obviously showed Royal Wootton Bassett, and it was looking pretty snazzy on the front end of the website. Is there any guidance around how clubs can go about doing that and replicate some stuff like that? Has FSI got any guides around that?
There are, when you create a website, there are actually help guides within it. In the admin section of the website, there's guides on creating content and how you can make those pages look a bit better than standard templates.
That's great, Steve. And what we can do, guys, is we'll reach out to Royal Wootton Bassett and get some feedback on how they've done that, and maybe do a little small guide to support you guys with that as well. I think that's quite a good question, and it does look pretty smart. Clubs sharing.
We do have we do.
Go on, Steve.
Sorry, we do have a support inbox to the websites as well, so you can email us direct, and the guys will help you with whatever they can.
Excellent, that's great.
Ian, sorry, it may also be worth noting that, as Steve mentioned, by clicking the sort of generate website button, you do get a standardized template, and that will include all of the information within it that you've populated within GMS, so all your memberships, all your personnel data that you know, all those areas of the website that you can go and look at. For example, with Royal Wootton Bassett, but there are, you know, several hundred other clubs that have got a website set up. If there are specific sort of design requirements you have that you don't feel kind of able to attend to, there is the option to contact FSI directly about that. Obviously, that's sort of over and above the standard, but we're able to support you in that if that's of benefit. I just thought I'd mention it because we wouldn't want you to think you're out there on your own entirely.
That's great. Thanks, Matt. Few. Another question coming from Suzanne Kennedy. So on GMS, there's an annual scheme. There is both a start date and a from date. Which of these sets the annual timer? They're still not quite clear on that. Okay,
so the start date is the one that determines when that membership will start. The field next to it is the scheme application date. So really that's for when you're starting up a new scheme. So if I had a new scheme that I want to start on the 1st of January 2023, but I want to start selling it now, the scheme application, if I set that today in conjunction with the pre-purchase period, it would then show publicly available for individuals to use. So use the start date for the actual date you want the membership to start.
And then what is the from date?
Which was the from date, sorry?
I guess that's my question. So there is both a start date and a from date. Nothing to do with the application period. But when you list out the memberships, you can see the name of the membership, the price, from, to, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. And then further to the right, you see start date and application date.
Bear with me, I'm just going back to that screen to make sure I'm talking about the right one.
And the reason this is a bit of an itch for us, we do have part season memberships, which we want to legitimately be payable from a different date, like 1st of January, for example.
So you want that to be a different scheme?
Yeah, and that'd be a different scheme. But it's this, because from and start both kind of mean the same thing. We're just getting a bit confused as to which is what.
Okay, so sorry, is this on the creator membership scheme or on the membership schemes grid?
I must have put the data in when creating the membership, but I'm looking at it in membership schemes. View of
in that grid, sorry.
Yeah.
So in the membership schemes grid, the from date is the date of the price. So if you've got the current price that is set for that membership scheme, the from is when that price, the price start date, and the to is that price end date.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
No problem.
That's very clear now. Thanks.
Thanks, Suzanne. Another question in here from Tony McClure. Does the system send email reminders to members to pay at the start of the season?
We don't have an automatic email for the start of the season. We do have a payment request email. So if an order is created and the balance hasn't been paid, you can then go in and request that balance. And the email will contain a link to the payment screen, which the users can go straight to from that email.
Cheers, Steve. Another question in from Heather Thorpe. What's the difference between pending and suspended?
So suspended, a membership will move to suspended. This is normally for direct debit payments. If you have a scheme that's set up to be paid, for example, 12 payments, and for whatever reason, one of those payments doesn't come through, it either fails, or if an individual cancels their mandate at the bank and the bank isn't able to pay it, the membership will move to suspended. So then the admin user can deal with that payments. That payment can either be rescheduled. If the club doesn't intend to collect the payment, it can mark it as do not collect, and then update that membership back to active, and it will just carry on.
Thanks, Steve. Hope that answers covers that question for you, Heather. One from Tracy, just around direct debits for instalments. So they have them set up, but some parents have issues, especially with banks not honouring them, and then the parents lose the option to pay instalments and have to pay in full. How is it possible to deal with those situations?
Okay, so that's all about dealing with that failed payment. So the reason it does that is to prevent further payments being requested. For example, if someone's cancelled their mandate, it's pointless having the direct debit option there because they have the individual then hasn't got a mandate. All they'll be doing is making payments scheduled, which won't get paid. So as soon as that failed payment is dealt with, either again rescheduled and paid off, or paid off by another method, or marked as do not collect, the direct debit option will come back.
Cheers, Steve. A couple of other questions coming in here now, Steve. Just bear with me. Just one from David. What's the setup to enable use of an email being sent to a member?
Sorry, that cut out there. Could you say that again?
What's the setup to enable use of an email being sent to a member? That's come from David. Might need a bit more. If you can come off mic, David, that would be good. Just elaborate on that, David Blackledge.
I think Matthew Lynch has answered it.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, the issue is that if I want to send an email to a member who hasn't paid or has a lapsed DD, currently I can see how it's done, but it's not actually activating the email being sent.
Okay. It might be worth giving us an example of that one, David, because if the individual's got an email address and you clicked on them and said send them an email, that should work. There's no reason why that wouldn't work. So if for whatever reason it's not going through, please log that as an issue, because it should do. I mean, GMS, I don't know the exact statistics, but sends hundreds of thousands of emails a quarter to various, players from different clubs, etc. So if you're having issues with a few individuals, it might be down to one of a number of things. So we'd have to have a look at it.
Okay, but ultimately, who's the email being addressed from? Because there are two options. There's either one contact for the club or the individual, myself, the membership secretary, but it's under my personal name. Well, you haven't got access to my ISP account to actually go and send that email. So who does it go out from?
It goes out from a generic email address from GMS at First Sport, so it will never show your actual email address when you send emails from GMS. So when you select to send it, you've got a choice there of which email address you want to send it from, either your CB address if you have a CB or your club address. But when the individuals receive that email, they won't actually see your email address, but they can reply back. Just going back to the one where you said it's not being sent, are you sending it from your mobile device or through a desktop?
Desktop.
Okay, that's fine. We've just had a deployment today because we noticed there's issues with sending emails through GMS from mobile devices. That's now been fixed on deployment today. So as Matthew said, if you've got any examples, if you can log a ticket and we can look into those.
Will do.
Hooray!
Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe.
I was going to say there's a very good nugget of information in the chat by Suzanne there regarding email verification. So that was also a good point to note. Thanks for that, Suzanne.
I've not come across that before. Email verification doesn't seem to affect you being able to send them an email at all. I can quite happily send people email who haven't verified their email address on their account.
I must admit I've not had an issue with it either, but I will be looking into it after today if that's something that people have picked up on. I don't believe that's the case, but it certainly will need verification from my perspective. Yes.
Yeah, I wish it would, but otherwise you can't send them the verification email if they can't accept the email that you're sending them to verify their email.
The verification one does go through. This is information from GMS's help desk, and it's proven true multiple times for Wilmslow. Can't comment on others, but if you send them the verification, that does go through. Otherwise, others haven't been going through. They haven't been able to get password reset emails, etc. And that, you know, that I'm kind of parroting what GMS help desk have told me.
It seems a little bit inconsistent then, because I mean, I send emails out to a couple of thousand users to renew their membership, and they get, well, most of them get them. And I know a number of those aren't verified, but we do have a lot of problems with them going to junk, or sometimes people denying they ever get them at all. But I think it's inconsistent.
Yeah, I agree with Neil. I'm not had any problem, but there again, I'm only a GMS trainer. What do I know?
Junk is the problem that we have more than anything else. Which there's, because I work with email, and I'm sure there's ways that First Sports could improve that from a validity validation perspective. But yeah, certainly unverified emails. So as an example, on registration day, we would go through and set the person up rather than them doing it. You can go through, set them up, or if someone's got an account where the email accidentally was wrong, we would go in, change the email to be correct, and you can just trigger the password reset off the unverified new email, and it goes through. But what we almost certainly find is those emails are always in the junk folder. So more often than not, people we get that very regularly with payment requests as well. People are like, well, I haven't received it. And it's like, yes, there's about 10 of them in your junk.
And if we go in and look at their comms history, we can see that they've seen them, and usually we can find they've opened them as well.
Yeah.
Really good feedback, guys. Neil, did you want to elaborate on your anniversary memberships question?
Yeah. So before we started, we have, just as a bit of background, we have 1,500 or so members using membership on GMS. And 2 dogs. We had, so we've got about 1,500 members using membership on GMS. And at the moment we use the anniversary renewal, because when we did direct debits previously on our old system over 12 months, we had a lot of the kind of new minis parents would get to the end of the season, go, right, that's it, rugby's done, cancel DD. So we now collect over the course of the season, which is obviously 8 months. So we collect September through April. What we'd love to do is use the subscription capability, so that we didn't have to get people to renew their membership every single year. Would take a huge amount of administration off of my shoulders, but obviously we can only collect over 12 months on that. So that was the purpose of my question. Is there any thinking, it's a question for FSI, on kind of be able to change the number of or either making the anniversary repeatable, or changing the subscription to go over a shorter number of months, or customizable number of months?
I think honest answer to that one, Neil, is that's not a request we've had from anybody else apart from you. So it'll be one that,
you know me, I'm special.
It'll be one that I can certainly feed back to the team. I mean, I like it as an idea as well, because it makes sense. As you say, it's I can understand immediately how that would remove a lot of administrative overhead. Yeah. And the other thing, I guess, that in a similar vein, which I don't know how many clubs this would impact on this call, but there is an intention to introduce another feature whereby you can have separate bank accounts, or more, should I say, more than one bank account as part of your membership. So we've been made aware several clubs that utilise the GMS membership functionality at the moment have, say, a different bank account for minis and a different bank account for seniors, or whatever, various different arrangements for their own reasons. And at the moment, you have a single account that the funds are settled to. So prior to the start of next season, we will be introducing, or we certainly intend to introduce, the ability to have multiple bank accounts.
And will that be, Matthew, by membership type then?
Yeah, essentially, it'll be an addition to when you create the membership. You'll need to specify, if you have more than one account set up in the system, which one you'd like it to be settled to. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cheers, Neil. Thanks for that, and Matthew. Any more questions, guys? Chance to ask any other burning questions you have to FSI around membership and finance?
Yeah, I'm just typing one because it's too long to read out. But it's about subscription memberships, and I'm always going to a DD panel.
Okay, Steve, do you want to have a quick read of that in the chat? So I'll read it out to you. So on subscription memberships, we have a scheme set covering detached and long-term injured players, which gives them up to 6 months free membership. And that's set only by membership sec, so someone with a level 5. When I go to purchase that membership for the person, it sends me to a direct debit panel.
Yeah, and then I have to fiddle it to get out of that DD panel because it wants me to set up a direct debit panel to take no money. Now, Lauren suggested that the subscription was the right thing to do on that because I wanted to set it for 6 months. So because that tends to be the service detachment that they get at the moment, Estonia, Ukraine, wherever. So we don't want to take money off them for that period that they're away. Then when they come back, they'll pay the set reduced membership for the amount of period of time of the season that's left. So ours cuts down at Christmas and at Easter. But because I set that up on subscription, when I hit the pay now button, which I would do normally for somebody who's paying by cash or check or other, it sends me to a DD panel. Well, obviously I don't need to set up a DD because it's free.
Lauren, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but is another way of doing that to effectively just mark the next 6 payments as do not collect, or there's probably various ways of doing that actually to solve.
Yeah, but you've got to set it up as a direct debit before you do that, and they don't all pay on direct debits. Some pay on cash. Remember, these are soldiers, so the only way they know what to do with money is by beer and fags. So getting money out of them for a rugby membership is hard. But so what we'll do is we'll extract money off them on other basis, but we just want to mark them off as that say that yes, they're effectively a member, but they're in Mali or Estonia or somewhere or another for 6 months. And I had one set before, but I had to set it for the whole year, and then I had to. When they came back, I would have to stop that membership, archive it, which I now don't seem to be able to do. I can only make it inactive. The archive seems to have gone away, but that's another question I haven't written yet. And then let them pay for a second membership, which it can get messy. So I thought this would probably be the easiest way of doing it. Sorry, Steve.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I'm just I'm thinking it through. I think that might be one we have to take away and have a look at, because, as you say, it's a subscription membership. It will ask you for DD details because that's what's required for the subscription. I'm sure there's a way we can work around that, but we might have to take that and come back to you if that's all right.
Yeah. I send emails. Dear Lauren, and I get an answer back from somebody else, which doesn't help.
Oh, sometimes that's probably me.
Okay, cheers, Dave. Just one last question that's come in. Is there any plan to have the option to pause payment at all, or is that in the future plans, or is it not being thought about? Might be one for you.
Yeah, so is that essentially to sort of pause or freeze membership? That's how I'm interpreting that. So if that's the case, then yes, there are irons in the fire to that end already.
That would work for me if I got somebody who set up a direct debit to pay over 8 months and then got detached in the middle of it. I could hit the pause payment, and they would still show us a membership.
Yeah.
That's good to know for you guys out there. Just one from Heather. Again, around guides on the system. So, are there any guides that clubs can refer to help them with setting up the membership schemes?
Email to Lauren.
And I think,
yeah, Lauren, you've got some guides, haven't you? You can send out if they email in.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I have got some guides if you email the club payments. I'm also just in the process of updating them just to make them look a little bit more pretty. But I do have guides, and any questions, obviously, I'm happy to help.
If it's just basic setup, so you're just starting with setting up the membership schemes, then there are ones, and I've put the link in the chat already under the finance and memberships on the GMS help portal. But if you want to get into the nitty gritty, like the Neil and the Dave questions and the Suzanne questions, then those will probably be ones for Lauren and her team. But yeah, if you just want to get started, then the ones on the help portal are a good ones to get started.
Excellent. And just last question there, Heather, around the weekly stats email that you receive on a Monday. Can they be explained? Chloe, do you want to just...
So we've had a few issues with the club weekly stats summaries where the links don't work or they take them to incorrect grids. We've actually just had a deployment today which hopefully should fix a lot of those glitches. So if you want to try on next Monday's club stat summaries, and if you've still got issues, then log those with screenshots on a GMS help portal ticket and we can investigate for you. But hopefully any problems on those should now be fixed on today's deployment.
Chloe, do you mind
And
just
you don't need a role to receive the weekly stats summaries. Well, you do need a role, and you need to be from at least probably security permissions level 2, because some of those will take you to the people grid or the membership grids. But you do need to opt into your preference on your own dashboard. You need to be able to go to your profile or your dashboard and go to communication preferences and opt into the weekly club stats summary.
Excellent. Thank you, Chloe. Paul, you got a question there. Is there a who's who to find out who we should direct questions to? Essentially, if you submit a ticket on the help portal, that's the place to go to if you have any questions. And if it's, you'll get directed to the relevant place. Hopefully that helps. And just the last one there, from Suzanne. What is the process for requesting an enhancement? They've just moved from Pitch Hero to FSI for their web front end and memberships, and they're really missing the news roundup, the other bits that Pitch Hero provides, and just wondering how they can go about proposing enhancements.
That one would be, we would need probably examples, and if you could provide screenshots and log those on a help portal ticket. And then what we're going to do in the new year is we're going to round up all the suggestions that we've had over the last couple of months or few months, and we'll take them to our user groups, which we've got set up. They meet every other month, and then we'll see if there's national appetite for those to put in for changes in for development. Because unfortunately we don't have a never-ending budget and we don't have never-ending resources, so we do need to go with what will be useful for clubs across the board, not just the odd 1 or 2 bespoke reporting or change requests. So it has to be usable for all clubs or a majority of clubs to use. So we'll do that with our user groups and put them to them, and then we'll put them in for development if agreed, and we can get the budget agreed for those.
Excellent.
Ian, she's asking how the user groups are organised and invited. So one for you.
I'll come to that in a second. I just want to make, so as Lauren's put in the chat there, if any of you guys have any finance, payment and membership related queries, you can contact club payments at firstsports.com. So that's in the chat that Lauren's kindly put in there now as well. Jason, I'll come to you in a second. I'm just going to answer Suzanne's quick question around the user groups. So we recruited for a platform for rugby user groups in the back end of last season. They've been in place since July. We have 5 external user groups based on user person types within the game. So coaches and match officials, club management, team and match management, players. So we have a number of groups that cover the different areas there. They are in place for a season. So there's up to 12 volunteer users within each group, and they are in place for this season ultimately. So the groups will be looked at and reviewed again, and open to all again at the end of the season, but they're in place now. There will be potentially a couple of larger scale engagements this season, but to be confirmed on that. But that's essentially how they're organised and invited. Each group has a council member as part of it as well. And if you want some further information of who is on those groups, if you go on englandrugby.com and Platform for Rugby, I think Chloe will drop that link in the chat, and you'll be able to see who is a part of those user groups. All right. Jason, you got your hand up, waiting very patiently. I'm going to come to you.
No worries, thank you. Can I just check you can hear me okay? The reception's a bit rubbish.
Yeah,
I can. Let's get my question is embarrassingly simple. Listening to everyone chatting here, seeing the chat, I feel like such an amateur. At least it's making sense, so that's a great start. What's the best guidance for someone brand new to this? There's a lot of tribal learning from my club, where I'm learning from those who've done bits of it years before. Where's the best place to start? Like, I didn't realize there were YouTube videos until you shared at the beginning, but where's the best place to start to get the most robust training? Is it documents on the website? Is it YouTube channels? Is there something? I just don't want to miss something when I'm increasing my knowledge. Is that all right? Sorry for the
No, that's great. So Jason, you're brand new to GMS in total, yeah?
Yeah, a few weeks, a few hours.
Okay, so best place to start would be the YouTube channel, and Chloe will probably drop that in there, that link in there. On there's a number of webinars across different topics. Obviously GMS spans a whole host of different topics, so have a look at them to start with, and probably the one to kick off is what is GMS. Have a look at that webinar. That'll give you a flavour, and then just dip into the topics as and when you go. We do have, so that's one option if you like listening and watching videos. We have the help portal with lots of articles and content on around pretty much most issues. You can also submit a ticket there for any support if you can't find what you're looking for. And then the final piece is you could submit an expression of interest form if you're really, really stuck, and have a GMS support trainer come and support your needs. So there's a number of different options there, but I would initially start with having a go in the system and look at a couple of those webinars to get you going.
That's all. No, that definitely, the training, as I said, the tribal learning club is great and it's a good starter, but I just appreciate that simple overview, so I know I can just go in and get the robust, black and white guidance. Thank you so much. I look forward to the YouTube.
Also, Jason, I was going to say, also, Jason, if you obviously want to go through anything membership payment related as well, just email the club payments address and we can happily set something up for you and run through that in a bit more detail.
That is awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lauren. Excellent. So yeah, I'm just going to wrap up now unless there's any other last questions. Catherine, yes, all the useful links will drop into a document that I send out post-event when I send the link to the video as well. So don't worry if you haven't been able to keep up with the chat and stuff. So we'll send all the relevant links. Any more questions? Last questions, and then you can go back to seeing if England are doing all right in the football or Wales. If you, cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for your attendance. Really good attendance. Thanks for your questions. And a big thank you to Steve, Lauren, and Matthew from FSI for joining us tonight and being so really good with your knowledge and sharing some bits to take away, I'm sure. But thank you so much for all your support. Have a good evening.